Hiya! Today I'd like to try something with you. I just got something new and something I had on my shopping list for quite a while. And last weekend I went to an Urban Sketchers workshop, or like not Urban Sketchers workshop, but like a workshop for urban sketching. Urban Sketchers are a group, but this was just like a workshop organized by someone who attends the group. Anyway, I'm rambling. And they recommended a tool. Like, I immediately recognized it. As soon as I saw this person using it, I knew what it was. And then they kind of gave us a recommendation, and I loved it. And I am still waiting for an ink for it. But I got this Fude Sailor fountain pen. It's a 55-degree angle fountain pen, which means that it got a much better range of what's it called? Not like movement, but the ink flows in more directions, which is really cool. And by lifting the pen, and so when you learn calligraphy, there are some tools that you need to press more to get a bigger thickness. Or I'll show you. I'll show you in a minute. So you can do something like thin and thick by pressing. There are also some tools that you can control the angle of the tool to get different thicknesses. Like, just because I don't have anything else to hand, like with a hard tip like this, where you start, it's not the best example, but if you control the angle, you control the thickness of the line. And so I'm familiar with that kind of way of drawing, but I've never tried this kind of pen before. And yeah, and I've never been very good at controlling a pen or anything like this before. I think I've lost the ability to speak, so I'll just unpack it and start trying it out. I also got you see, I can't speak today. I also bought a converter so that I can put my own ink, and that Urban Sketcher recommended carbon ink, which was also on my list for a long time, but I kind of have a lot of inks. But because I've seen what it can do, like in real life, I was convinced. So because it's waterproof, but also suitable for fountain pens, I got a sample of it. So that's coming soon. So tune in for that, because some ink samples are coming. If you've been here a while, you might have seen my ink sample swatching video, where I got quite a lot of them and tested them all for you. Don't want to damage this packaging, even though it's in Japanese. Kotori Jiwa. Yeah, I can't read. I can kind of read some of it without understanding it. I might translate it in Google Translate later. And you can see kind of like a preview of how to use this ink, this pen. So by lifting it at a high angle, like not 90, but like quite close to 90, maybe 70 degrees, you get thin lines, then middle lines, and then when you lay it almost flat, you get much thicker lines. So that should be very interesting. I won't be using the converter today because I don't have the ink yet, but it's a twist and turn kind of converter. So you put it in the ink, twist the end of the converter, and then it gets the ink, but you put it in the pen first. If that makes sense. Sorry, you don't put, yeah. I think you got me, even though it didn't make sense. This pen has a really nice feel to it, even though it wasn't very expensive. I think it was quite cheap compared to other fountain pens. the finish of it is quite nice. And I love Sailor inks, so I hope the quality will be comparable. It's a twisty one, and you can see the nib is bent, and it's bent on purpose, so that's how it's supposed to be. Just for comparison, in case you haven't really used fountain pens much before, or like nib pens of any kind, a regular nib looks like this. It's quite straight. This one is a very broad nib pen, but I don't know if it's going to work. I haven't used it for a bit and I'm sort of worried. I used a fountain pen ink in this, so it should wake up, but I'll leave it for now. I'll fix that in a minute. But I have this Kaweco Sport, or Kaweco maybe, and this one has like I forgot what it's called. It's like a circular, like a ball kind of at the end of the nib, and I think this one's fine or medium. So the way you write with it, you can get line thickness difference, but I think because it's quite a thin nib, you generally just get one thickness. But if you really want to, you can. It doesn't really work that much with a nib pen like this. So there is pretty much you get one thickness of the line. But with this one, and I think I probably need to put in because it came with a couple, what's it called? These cartridges. Yeah, I'll try it, because I need to test it for you. So I just put in one cartridge. And it might take a minute for the ink to... Actually, I might need to wash it just very quickly, so I'll be back in a sec. Okay, through the magic of editing, I'm back. Usually a pen, when it's brand new, it has like a little layer of something protective on it, so you kind of have to wash the nib, but I've done that now. So let's try and go... Okay, so this is a very high angle, so it should produce very thin lines. And then sort of middle. Ooh, I see. And then a low angle. I think it needs to go flat. So if you see the nib, if it's going flat against the paper, it should produce a thicker line. I'm sorry. But also I noticed that you can go sideways to make a thicker line even, or this way. So it's got quite a lot of possibilities, but the idea is to sort of be very free with your work. And what I've seen this person do on the workshop was just kind of, I don't know, I like this kind of freedom in drawing. So oops, I made a continuous line by mistake. And it definitely will take a minute to get used to. But basically what I think I'll be able to achieve with this is what I usually do with Fudenosque, which is like, do you see this kind of freedom of line where the lines are very like organic? I let my hand or my brain not control my hand rather, and just go with the flow in a way. I don't know how to describe this. If you've ever drawn in this way, you will know what I mean. And if not, I just encourage you to sort of go... Don't have the pen with me. to show you. This is a brush pen, so completely different pen, but I can sort of demonstrate. So you kind of, I don't know, I would call it very playful. So this is the sort of thing that I'm hoping to achieve, obviously in a much better way, with this new pen. And I've prepared a couple sketchbooks. This ink isn't the best for this Royal Talents sketchbook. So we started in the cheapest sketchbook. This is Royal Talents Art Creations. And it's very thick, like the stock is alright, like it's not very thick, but it's thick enough for most media. It's not very good for some inks, as you can see here. But I wanted to like give it a quick test. And I've also prepared the Sea White of Brighton, which is a much more, it's also a very affordable, what's it called, sketchbook. Here I tested some materials for my last video. Do check it out. It was a black colored Talents Art Creation sketchbook, and I tested all the white materials, including my iridescent, kind of pearlescent inks. So it's up in the description, and yeah, you can check it out on my channel as well. So I'll continue here. I don't want to like get the ink bleed onto this drawing, so I'll start here. And I should really have something to draw, but I think I'm just going to find something in my sketchbook and redraw it. Let's see. Maybe I'll try and redraw this tree, although I drew this one on location today, so it will be a bit different as a result, because I'm not looking at a real tree right now, but a drawing. I have to say, I really enjoy this. There is something really satisfying about this pen. And I was kind of putting it off because, you know, I can't keep buying art supplies, although I can, but I decided to wait a bit. But once I've seen what this pen is capable of, I was like, this is worth it, you know? Sometimes all you need is to see someone else use something to know whether it's for you. It won't be like immediately my best piece of work with this pen because it's very new to me. But you can kind of see what it can do. I would love to hear if you've ever tried it, if you're an artist as well, or if you draw in your, you know, free time or anything like that. If you ever use ink, whether you've tried it, whether if you have been thinking about jumping on the bandwagon, because yeah, it's been quite popular recently. I think a few artists who went to Japan brought them back. But actually, I always thought it would be much more expensive, but it's not too bad in the UK as well. So here's my very weird shaped tree, and this was my Fudenosque, and I need to show you the Fudenosque pen. Okay, I found my Fudenosque pen. It's written as Fudenosuke, but I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Fudenosque. It's by Tombow, and it's like a fake, like a hard tip brush pen. I wouldn't call it a brush pen. I would call it more like a felt tip or flexible brush sort of thing. And I'll show you what I meant by saying, oops, sorry, by saying I keep my old pens. I always mark them just so I know which one's which. And yeah, let's try that. So it's like I'm not on form today. Please be kind. Please be understanding. I don't know what's going on. So this is like a very, very used up pen. And I used to use it for like creating very weird lettering. This one might be beyond. This one might be going to the bin, or I might dip it in ink or something. This is my quite newish pen. Their tips last quite a long time as well, so usually I run out of ink about the same time as as this tip gets a bit worn out. But it's really easy to control the line. I don't know what's going on. I think I have too many sketchbooks on top of each other. It's been a while since I've done lettering. But you can see how easy it is to control the line thickness. And I thought, since I'm showing you this pen, let me just move this out of the way. I will also show you a couple other pens that are also useful for urban sketching and drawing in general. This Pentel Pocket Brush, I also got it for lettering. I'm sorry. It comes with cartridges as well, and so far I've only been using the cartridges, but I might switch to ink, like my own ink, to save on plastic and everything. It didn't occur to me before that I could do away without cartridges, but now I know, so I might refill the old cartridge or buy a converter or something. And this is a brush pen. It's a really nice quality brush. And this one I've had for maybe 6 years or something, 8 years, 6 years, I think. And you can create some nice thin lines, some very thick lines. It takes a bit longer to get used to it and a bit of practice. But again, it's, learnable. And then if you move it really fast, it will create this very, very weathered look, which I really like. If you go slower, it will create more solid lines. So I quite like that. I quite like being able to create this textured look in one brush stroke. So there's that. And I also have seen people, I've had this for years again as well. I've seen people use this for urban sketching as well, which is quite interesting and never occurred to me. And this one I think I've refilled an old cartridge, with my own ink. So I put, so this is Pilot Parallel Pen, but I put Quink in it by Parker in it. And this pen you control with the angle in a different way. You don't lift it this way as you write, if that makes sense. So you don't do this. Imagine the paper is here. But you do a continuous angle. And you write. I don't know if it's easy to demonstrate on video. But my angle remains exactly the same. The only thing that moves is my hand. It's a bit harder to get a continuous unbroken line with this. Just because of the way ink flows, so it has some ridges in the tip. And that's where the ink flows. But what you can do with this is create some nice, lovely, Gothic lettering. Actually, is this angle correct? Obviously, I'm just making this up now, so it's not going to be great. And it can be very difficult to not change the angle. But the angle is kind of like this. So this is one of the practices you can do for it. This sort of thing. And I really used to love them. And I kind of had them in my drawer for a while until I've seen some people like creating shadows like under a roof, or you know, you can make bigger. You don't have to follow the same rules as you do with lettering, but you can like create bigger shadows. Or maybe a window. I've seen or I heard people sanding down a corner of this pen, but I'm not brave enough to do it. I don't know how to. And honestly, I don't think it needs it. I think it still writes with the corner, so I think it was more to control the transition between thick and thin, because yeah, you kind of, it doesn't actually work as nicely as with other pen types, but you can definitely get that if you know what to do. Anyway, so I've also seen this pen being used for urban sketching, and they come in different sizes. So this one is 3.8. I'm going to have a sip of water. Water break, don't forget your water. Okay, and I also have this 6.0 millimeters, which I think this one I put converter in because I managed to get one. And again, it's Parker ink. This one is actually, that's not Parker ink, that's Diamine, some dark color. And this one's Parker. You can see the difference. Yeah, you can see how out of practice I am. And again. Oh, now I'm remembering. Anyway, and yeah, you can draw with it in a very similar way. And I just remembered why I haven't really used these pens much before. The ink, so you can buy cartridges for these, and I did buy a whole pack of different colors, but I just don't like that ink. It bleeds through the pages and it feathers, so I might need to find a better paper, more suitable paper for it. But yeah, that's what you can do with these. But we're here for the Sailor one, so I'm just going to switch sketchbooks. So this was Royal Talents, and we just tried Sea White of Brighton. It's just cartridge paper. And I'm going to try Odd Orange. So Odd Orange Stationery is a company, a small business run by Morgan Grice in the UK, and she makes sketchbooks by hand. They're lovely hand-bound sketchbooks with love, and they always are very beautiful. This was like a collection with these lovely end papers. I'm going to swatch it here, and I'm not going to make a full picture. I really like this quality of line, and it's kind of unpredictable, which is kind of fun. You never know what you end up with. And so when I went to the workshop, one of the things we learned was, if you make a mistake, embrace it, and this will probably force me to embrace my mistakes. So yeah, it's a really nice pen, and I really like the ink. I wonder if it's waterproof. You know, the original ink in it. What you can see here is my swatches and packaging from a a set of paints for urban sketching, and it just turned out I was recommended by urban sketchers, this set. So really coincidence, but great timing. And the paints are by Roman Szmal. I swatched them here on YouTube and painted this piece on camera, so you can watch that. I'll link that up for you. But yeah, just a complete coincidence. I won the set on Instagram from Jackson's Art, and I had the workshop a week after I received them. So yeah, here's the line quality in the Odd Orange sketchbook. It's mixed media stock, so it's not very toothy. I'm also going to try a mixed media, and that's also mixed media. That's more toothy though. Okay, let's try it in this sketchbook. Just find a good page. This is a swatch page, so let's try it here. So this one's by Mossery. It's their mixed media one, and it's just a refill. You don't have to buy covers for them. Sometimes I do, if I like it enough, but sometimes I just work in an uncovered one. I can't wait to make something with this, but I think we're running quite long on time. And I had one more sketchbook that I wanted to show you. It's this Radia Touch, which I've tested for my Patreon, so you can tune into that on my Patreon. You can join for as little as $1 a month. I think this video might have been from $3 up, but yeah, you can go and check that out if you like. Don't really have space on the first two pages. Okay, maybe I'll swatch all of them. Okay, so this one's Sailor. It's really nice to write with as well, which, you know, I didn't really buy it for writing, but I might do some writing. And this sketchbook is great for ink and wash, so that's why I am trying it in. I might try some urban sketching in it, actually, because I think ink and a light wash of watercolor might be perfect for urban sketching. And this paper is surprisingly, I don't know what to call it. It's not extremely thick, but it doesn't, like, I don't see any bleeding from the ink. Even on the parallel ink by Pilot that I said was quite bleedy. Even this massive blob of red, which was the worst bleeding one, only gave like a tiny dot on the other side. So yeah, I love this stock. This is my first one, and the cover is very nice and soft. I hope it's not real leather. It feels very soft, but yeah, I really hope it's not actual leather. Okay. It's my favorite, Tambo Fude. Oops. I just completely forgot how to do lettering. And these scribbles might look like, you know, not very pleasing visually, but I know that this is kind of the technique I'm going to be practicing, so that's why I'm testing it here. And it's also something that reminds me of asemic writing. If you haven't seen that, look it up. It's really cool. It's just writing, but not using a known alphabet or anything like that, just writing whatever, like gibberish basically. Kind of make up shapes as you draw. Okay, let's try Pentel Pocket Brush Pen. Oops. Oops. I think it's actually a really nice comparison. What I'm missing though is like a line. I wish I've done that in a whole line, but we don't have any space left. I'm running low on ink. This pen is really good at to practice straight lines with and like controlling your line thickness. As you can see, I think because I had lots of sugar for pudding tonight, my hands are a bit shaky. Anyway, and we have the Pentel ones. Sorry, Pilot ones. Similar name. .8. Not really made for writing like this. I don't know if I'll be using it like this, but that's a nice test. And it's a fair comparison, right? Really hard to control. I think I'm more likely to use them for lines. I think this sketchbook is a bit warped and I might put something underneath. Maybe it's just not made for, this ink might not be made for this sketchbook. Then we have Pilot 6.0. We might see a similar problem. We'll see. I really like this. I can't wait to play with this more. Sometimes drawing like this in gibberish style can be really, really fun and relaxing. And it's not always about creating something finished and beautiful. Sometimes it's about doing something to relax and enjoy the mark making without any thought of the end results. And that's what I'm feeling with this. The scratching sound is not the nicest. Apologies for that. Okay, here they are. So today we tested a few fountain pens and parallel pens and a brush pen, as well as flexible brush pen, and compared them in a few different sketchbooks, in a wash and ink and wash Radia Touch, and in the Odd Orange stationery sketchbook, mixed media. Oh, sorry, this is Mossery mixed media sketchbook, and a more smooth Odd Orange stationery sketchbook, also mixed media, on cartridge stock from Sea White of Brighton, as well as Talent's Art Creations sketchbook. I hope you found this useful. Let me know your favorite pen, either from these or your own favorite pen for drawing. One thing I forgot to do is to test the water, whether it's going to... So I can't think and look for the brush at the same time. 1 second. Okay, I'm just going to test whether it's waterproof. Okay, this ink isn't waterproof. That's good to know, especially since I'm going to be using this pen for urban sketching, which means I'll be mixing it with watercolor. I'll wait for the ink from the carbon ink. I think it's called Platinum Carbon, and then try that one out. So I ordered a sample of that, and if I like it, I'll get a whole bottle. So like a whole pack of samples cost me the same as 1 bottle of ink would, but getting samples means that I can test them out and choose my favorites before I spend a lot of money on a whole bottle. It is quite pricey. It's like £18 in UK. So yeah. So we also tested whether the ink in Sailor Fude pen is water soluble, and it is. But that can be used to your advantage. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with it. It's just not suitable to be used with water. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Do let me know your favorite pen, either from the ones I tested today, or let me know your favorite pen that you use every day or occasionally for your own art. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. It really helps my channel. You can also subscribe and hit the bell button to get notified of new content. I release my videos pretty much every Sunday. And I am apparently losing my voice, so I'll start wrapping up. You can find me on Patreon, where I share exclusive videos, and you can join a free tier where you don't pay anything, and I occasionally share some content on it for free. But you can also join some paid tiers where you have kind of exclusive content, sketchbook previews, exclusive video every month, and you can also join physical tiers where you get prints and stickers delivered to you every month. So yeah, do check that out, and have a lovely day artsing. Until next time, bye! Ta-ra!